talk that I want to share with you is called Forging the Servant Warrior. Now, for me, Servant Warrior is a moniker that I picked up a few years ago, probably about 2009, when I first busted onto the Twitter scene. And for me, the idea of a warrior, or of a samurai in particular, has always been something I've been really, really interested in. And so the servant warrior is a very powerful way for me to think of, what am I striving for? What is my compass heading? What's the thing that I'm working towards? And for those of you who may or may not know, the literal translation, one of the literal translations of the word samurai is one who serves. And for me, that servant warrior moniker helps me to be aware of the ideal of powerful selflessness. So it's not just about being able to, go toe-to-toe with someone, or be able to fight or anything like that, but it has to do with being both powerful and an ability to contribute to other people's lives. I really try to strive for that. Some of that's actually influenced by my Kempo training. I don't know how many of you have ever seen like Kung Fu movies and stuff where they do like this cool bow thing where they have their fist there and then cover it with the hand. And at least in Guardian Kempo, which is the art that I study, the primary art that I study, that fist symbolizes power. Now in particular, that's power to control myself. So more important than my ability to be strong and do things and to execute moves properly and to come out on top in a grappling match, it has more to do with my ability to take care of what's mine to take care of. And that humility is the other part. It's the open hand, at least in our symbolism that we use, and that is thinking about myself accurately, knowing who I am. So not thinking of myself more highly than I am, not being arrogant and about, oh man, I'm hot stuff, I can do all kinds of stuff, and not thinking more lowly of myself. A lot of times it's real easy for those of us, people in general, but I think even more so sometimes in the blind and visually impaired community, we run into a situation where we think really bad about ourselves. It's really hard to know how awesome we might actually be, because we can't do something the way other people should do them, and we start to really loop this negative way of thinking. And so that idea of further exploring who you are and knowing who you are is really, really powerful. And so that power to control myself and power to take care of what's mine to take care of, for me, is in subjection or in context with that idea of humility, of knowing myself. So we'll probably talk a little bit, bouncing back and forth between some of those types of things and some of my story. So I was born in 1980 in Santa Cruz, California. And just to give you perspective, Santa Cruz is one of those very interesting towns. If you've ever heard of Berkeley, California, a lot of people think, oh, it's out there, it's crazy. Santa Cruz makes Berkeley look like the Bible Belt, if that gives you any perspective. So, there's very unique people in Santa Cruz. That's about the most succinct way I can put it. But it's really fun. It's a really awesome place to live, and a lot of redwoods, and totally recommend you visit it someday. When I was about 2 or 3, my parents split up, and so my dad was in my life a lot, but not consistently, not as much as I would like. And so I was always craving that direction, that guidance, that kind of father figure, if you will. And like Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi, and I was one of that patient, guiding teacher to kind of help show me the way. And that was really something I always wanted. I never really got a chance to experience that as fully, at least not until considerably later in life. And about that same time, my parents split up, and I was about 2 or 3, started realizing there was something going on with my eyes, and that things weren't going the way that we otherwise would hope that they would. And I was actually tripping on a step in my godmother's house. I just couldn't see it, and so they're like, okay, well maybe Josh needs glasses. And it was a little worse than that. So we found out about the time that we went in, just put about 82 or 83. Yeah, I'm aging myself, you know how old I am now, 36. Am I loud enough for everybody, by the way? I need to speak up? Am I good? All right, cool. All right, just let's check in every once in a while. So found out that my right eye was already completely blind. The right retina had detached and adhered itself to the back of the eye, and I was extremely nearsighted in my left eye. And the long and the short of it is, I was born with a condition that I don't know how to pronounce, that's extremely rare. Essentially, my eyes were not formed properly. Formed just enough that I have a fold down the center of my macula, for those of you who know your eye anatomy. So right down the center of my retina, and so I had very more likelihood of retinal detachments and injuries and things like that. Also, I was extremely nearsighted. I was about 2300 with correction in my left eye. So never going to be able to drive, never going to be able to do all those cool, I'm not going to be a fighter pilot or anything crazy like that. I was a big Top Gun fan when I was a kid too. I could play half-court basketball. That's about as far as it could go, because if it was full-court basketball, if you threw the ball at me from across the court, it would be more likely to hit me in the face than it would be for me to catch it. So I didn't really get into sports. I wasn't really an athletic sort of kid. I rode my bike all over the place, probably at my mother, who's Boise local, by the way. I don't even know how many times I must have given her a heart attack, because I would skateboard down like really steep hills, and I would, I always loved doing adrenaline kind of stuff, but there was a limit on what I could do. So talking about the Mr. Miyagi thing, the Karate Kid thing, fast forwarding a little bit, I was about 86 or so. The movie had been out for a couple of years, and I saw the Karate Kid, and I was like, oh man, that's cool. I want to do that. That sounds, I don't know. There was something about, again, there's that father figure thing with Mr. Miyagi. There's maybe you've seen the newer one that came out with Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith. I actually like that one too. I'm not knocking it, but I have a special place in my heart for that original one. I've never caught a fly with chopsticks, by the way. A lot of that's Hollywood stuff, but there's a scene that kind of goes back to that whole patience thing, and where, and I think some of us can relate to this. Maybe because we've moved, or maybe because we're adapting to people not understanding our blindness, right? Where Daniel LaRusso, he comes out to California from back east in New Jersey, and he's really not adjusting to it very well. And there's a point where he's been bullied a bunch and just can't handle it. And I actually get choked up every single time I watch the scene. Is that he takes his bicycle, he tears it up, throws it apart, tosses it in the dumpster, and it's just awful. And he's just completely crying and just can't. He's not handling it, and he wants to go back, and he can't. And he can't go back to the way things used to be. And Mr. Miyagi notices this, and he kind of just lets him have his emotional storm, lets him go through the heartache and then the pain of everything. And after he goes back, he's the maintenance guy at their apartment building. He very quietly in the background repairs his bicycle, and he doesn't try to convince him that what he's feeling isn't valid. He doesn't try to convince him that what he's doing doesn't matter. He just fixes his bicycle and is there that patient guy that he needs. And he teaches him karate through a roundabout sort of way: paint the fence, wax on, wax off. But he ends up teaching him karate, and that there was some. All right, that's cool. Let me hold of that. And my mom, around the same time that I saw this, it's interesting convergence of events. She was in a theater group. Yes, if you ever get a chance to meet her, you can ask her about her time on the stage. And there was a martial arts group that met just before at the community center where they were first having some of the rehearsals. I later found out that it was a Shotokan karate group, and I connected the Karate Kid and this group, and I saw them with their cool uniforms, their kicks, and their ki yells, and all that stuff. I was like, oh man, I want to do that. That sounds really, really cool. And unfortunately, since my dad was less consistently in my life, my mom raised mostly herself. And in case it wasn't clear, by the way, my mom's totally blind. She was actually blind since before she had me. And, single blind mother, visually impaired child, didn't have a lot of money. And so paying for lessons was kind of not really on the menu of options, and neither was contact sports. Super, super bad idea for me. Now, I don't know if any of you might have dealt with this, some of your, depending on your condition, but because I was really susceptible to retinal detachments, way more than most people were or are. The idea of even when I got into middle school, I couldn't do wrestling. I couldn't do, because even though that's a very tactical sport, and by the way, any of you who are thinking about a martial art, wrestling or judo or jiu-jitsu, very tactical disciplines, strongly recommend checking it out. But there's a possibility of an accidental elbow or trauma to the head or whatnot, and so karate was out, and just realistically wasn't going to happen. But I always kind of hung on to that, and I always wanted to do it, and so instead of doing sports, instead of doing martial arts as much as I really wanted to, I lost myself in stories. Especially anything involving, elves and wizards and knights and stuff like that. Really got it. I love that stuff. Absolutely love that stuff. But I really love stories about that, young boy that grows up to be that great chosen one leader and all that kind of stuff, and cool warriors and stuff. It was neat. But I always wanted to do martial arts. It was always in the back of my mind. Fast forward to my freshman year of high school, and I had a couple of close scares with my eyesight. I had a tear in my retina when I was 8, another when I was 10, a couple laser surgeries. Things were doing all right, but I was managing. About midway through my freshman year, things were getting worse. Starting to see a lot of floaters, and then I had a really significant retinal detachment. Had a couple of major eye surgeries. One was 5.5 hours to keep the eyesight that I had. And then I had another one just before my sophomore year. And then I had another one about the fall of my sophomore year, and another laser surgery. So before halfway through my sophomore year, I had 4 general anesthesia eye surgeries and a laser surgery. And coming into January of '96, which would have been the time frame, I not only couldn't do contact sports, they didn't want me lifting weights, they didn't want me running, they didn't want me swimming, they didn't want me practically breathing. There was nothing I could do. Now, as I indicated with riding my bike and skating and stuff, I always wanted to do adrenaline pumping stuff. I loved roller coasters and all that kinds of stuff. And to tell a 15-year-old kid that he couldn't do any of that stuff, it was awful. I was profoundly restless. So what does any responsible person do? And I say that in quotes. That they take a pair of nunchucks, and responsible thing. You turn up Pantera, as loud as it'll go, right? You turn up some metal, still love metal, nothing wrong with that. And had no martial arts training at all, certainly not with nunchucks at that time. Had some friends who had shown me a couple of kicks from Taekwondo or whatever that they had done, and I'd done some Parks and Rec things. And I can't do karate. Well, let me see what I can do. And last thing I did, popped myself in the eye. And most people got a black eye. Figure I'm still a couple months out from finishing the recovery from surgery I'd had just a few months prior. It's the last time I ever saw it. And the last thing I ever remember seeing is my dimming eyesight as I tried to see the telephone, so I called 911 because I was home alone when I did it, and was calling for the emergency services to come get me, take me to the doctor. Thankfully, the story doesn't end there.